Hi guys, Eclectic Impromptus. Hope you're having a good Monday. And yeah, I've got Gizmo out. And she's doing really good. So today's video clip, um, towards the end of the semester, we just have this week and then next week and then it's finals. As far as I know, we don't have finals for printmaking class. I think whatever we have next week will be done and over with. So it's been a good experience in printmaking class, but I'm kind of ready for the semester to be over. And it just seems like lately, it's not just school, but even like work, although I have no complaints about the Reef. It's a great place. And even church, even. And I have no complaints about anybody. It is what it is. You know, when you're under a lot of stress and you're an introvert and you're having to be surrounded by people seemingly all the time, it's like the littlest thing can annoy you. And I'm kind of glad that it's Monday evening because this is like the only time I really have a people break. I love everybody, but it's like I gotta do what I gotta do to recharge. And it seems like Monday nights and Monday afternoon after DJing all the way up, it's like it just seems like it's not enough, and I'm just tired of it. I guess it comes with the territory and stuff, but I'm ready for winter break and be able to recharge and start again spring semester. Um, so so yeah, and it seems like if I'm around people, it's like the slightest thing, and it's like it doesn't take much for me to get annoyed, and having to keep it on ice is becoming increasingly difficult. I will say the Reef has been great last week, and I have no doubt that this week will be decent. But it seems like church and school, it's just people just the slightest thing. I kind of felt that yesterday. Somebody was asking me about something, but I was already in the zone and was already getting kind of rankled, couldn't understand what this person was saying or nothing, and this person was getting a little snippy and annoyed with me, and that was getting me snippy and annoyed, and uh and then even in class, I was caught in a zone and somebody same thing, except this I at least understood what this person was saying. Whereas yesterday I couldn't understand a word this person was saying, and they weren't enunciating clearly or speaking loudly when I was like, huh? And stuff, and was kind of in a confused state of mind. And this person was getting attitudey with me on top of that, it seemed like, or it came across that way. Uh, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this to be over and can't wait to get away from everybody. But, I mean, aside from that, yesterday and today was fine, and at least this person in class earlier was a little more, enunciated better, and I understood what she was saying. But yeah, it is what it is. People could get on your nerves sometimes, especially if you're an introvert and misanthropic. So it is what it is. But I think it's kind of a sign saying, yeah, I'm kind of ready for this week and next week to be over, so to and just relax so I could feel like I could keep going. But some things to help. As you can see, I got Gizmo out. Animals are a big help. They just they love you. They're not judgmental. They're not egotistic, and they don't get attitudey when you can't understand what they're saying. But then again, they talk in a much different way, as I'll say. They don't talk like we do, but they have their own language and stuff. And nature. I mean, we're heading towards Thanksgiving. It's cold as could be, but sometimes surrounding yourself in nature when the temperature cooperates could also be helpful. But if not, being in a warm uh, area could be taking a nice hot bath, for example, or drinking a hot cup of tea, and I might consider doing that in a little bit. I guess some ways to de-stress, during this time, as you're in the crunch time and winding down with whichever semester, whether it's fall, spring, or whatever, and having an animal always helps. Yes, it does, doesn't it, Gizmo? And hobbies that could also help. And something else, I know I just mentioned about nature. Last night I saw this clip from Eek Acres. I bring him up every now and then. He's got some good words of wisdom. So he mentioned something about like nature. It could be having an animal, and he definitely had that as a big tip to help with stress and depression and stuff. It could be a cat, a dog, guinea pig, rabbit, chinchilla, whatever animal, he strongly recommended it because it helps your taking the focus less off yourself and focusing on, your pet, for example. But if you can't have an animal because you're in an area where it's not allowed, like an apartment, for example, or if you have allergies or somebody you're living with, like a significant other, has allergies, that's understandable. But you could even go to plenty of shelters, and there's other places, I'm sure, or go to a friend's house who has a dog, for example. I at least have one or two friends that have a dog, and um you know with the weather being cold, if you're into the cold, then great. You can even go out in the cold, just watch your steps so you don't slip, fall, and hurt yourself and stuff, of course. But even being out in nature, Eek Acres also mentioned about growing a garden. I'm not sure if that's feasible at this time of year, but spring, maybe even summer, depending which crops you could do that. He also mentioned about walking barefoot. I'll admit, it's kind of cold and stuff, but it was like 44 degrees, the sun's out. I decided to give it a whirl, taking care not to step on rocks or broken glass or whatever. It just took a few minutes to walk out in my yard to kind of help with the stress. And then all of a sudden I got like wicked cold and had to go upstairs and not clean my feet off in the weather, yeah. The water was nice and warm, and actually the warm water felt even more better, but it was still fun to try, and something I might try as the weather gets better. And something else Eek Acres mentioned, the ground is full of energy. And I've been seeing this online too. So if you go out barefoot, just watch for broken glass, pine needles that are on the ground, rocks, and so on. Can't hurt to walk around barefoot. It's supposed to help you connect to the earth better and the energy levels. It's supposed to help with depression and stress, anxiety, and so on. Worth a shot to try. And I also recommend not doing that in public places, or if the cement is hot, don't walk barefoot on the hot cement, of course. And having animals, growing a garden once the weather gets better, you could do that. Or if there's a way you could grow a garden at this time of year, feel free to leave that in the comments. I don't know how to do that, but I'm sure even buying a plant could help make a difference. And you're tending to the plant, and it's like you're being in nature, even if you're indoors and stuff. And definitely hobbies. In a little while, I'm probably gonna read a book and get some writing done, and start an art project. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, some things to keep in mind, I guess, if you're winding down for the semester and you're kind of just dealing with that stress and everybody's just pissing you off. Pardon my language, but I guess I'm feeling that stress up. I've also heard profanity helps with that, but I advise to use it sparingly, because it's something I don't like doing on my YouTube channel. But you do what's right for you. But I guess I had to say that. But anyhow, I guess that's it. Thanks for putting up with my rambling and hearing me vent about being stressed out and how people are just pushing my buttons, not intentionally, I'm sure, but it's happening, and I can feel that stress, and I'm tired of being around people right now, and can't wait for this to be over so I'll have more me time. So, and maybe more time to do YouTube clips on top of that. But I think hanging out with Gizmo will also help feel better. So yeah, and if you do have a pet, by all means, just give them lots of love when you're feeling stressed and anxious or depressed and stuff like that. Good idea to do that, because they'll help you. But anyways, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to you guys soon. Okay, bye-bye.